For Ann B. Ross and her Miss Julia series. The Joya Books on Main Street has several more of her editions as well as new and used books. So stop over there at Sweet Frog for a yogurt and bring a friend with you down beautiful Main Street. Gift cards included for Joya Books and Sweet Frog. Have you seen the mural of the bee down there? I haven't yet. I have to go down. Yeah? Awesome. All right. That goes to Alma Garcia. Hi, Alma. Nice to see you. Congratulations. All right. Before I say a few words, and I have a nice bottle of wine here. So that will go to Diane Skillman. All right. Well, I'm going to start off our short presentation. I won't keep you long. Please feel free to eat, get more beverage, whatever you'd like. But I do want to share with you a little bit of our vision and what I've learned, at least from my time here. So, I did meet somebody who started our program also about 10, 12 years ago. And his story about, coming from South America and coming to America for a new start. But this was someone that was also very educated and had a profession. And then coming to America, having to start over, literally, working on the line in a plant, and because he did not know English. And so he was desperate. He just really, and many of our students, and desperate in a good way, where it made them persevere. It made them knock on our door and say, we want a tutor. And so he did that. He kept knocking on the door and finally received a tutor and worked with that tutor for a year. And through the very arduous process, acquired English skills, got a promotion at work, and slowly worked his way up from where people would make fun of him because of his accent, and then he became the boss. But he has a heart of gold, and he never used that against them. But it just goes to show you, just because you have an accent does not mean you're not smart. And I know all of us here support that notion. And so whatever we can do in our community to make sure that we support that, it makes us better together, right? That is what we're here about, is to be better together. So our programs try and facilitate that, and our lovely tutors that are sitting in our room and beyond have done that. They've done that virtually this year. They've done that in person. For over 30 years, this organization has been part of this community. We've been partnering with Blue Ridge Community College. We've been partnering with the library. We've been partnering with the city, with the county, partnering with the school district. So many things that we have done in the past. And the future is no different. And Sharon touched on a few things. Listen, family literacy is going to be huge. I put some statistics out for you, but a mother's reading skill is the greatest determinant of her child's future academic success, outweighing other factors such as neighborhood and family income. It's all about, as parents, and a mother could be anybody from a guardian to a dad, to a grandmother, to an auntie. It's what we do for our children. And one of the things that concerns me is when I see small children on a screen all the time, right? It's video. And the more I've learned about just literacy and what the word means, I want to give you a quote from George Bernard Shaw. The problem with communication is the illusion that it has been accomplished. The problem with communication is the illusion that it has been accomplished. So why is literacy important to that statement, the communication? Because literacy is about more than just saying words. It's more than letters on a paper. It's understanding what's being said. And what I'm learning in my short journey here is that, yes, reading is very important, but comprehension is even more valuable. And the studies I was just reading recently, and I'm a data geek. I love data. Just give me data. I won't be sharing statistics with you because it can get a little eyes glazed. But the data tells us, right, that comprehension, when you're reading words, you're doing critical thinking. You're engaging with the words on paper in a way that's making your brain think and communicate with itself so that you can form your thoughts and understand the world around us. When you're in a video screen and people are talking at you like I am right now, I'm doing a little persuasive speaking. I have a little bit of intonation and we're going rather quickly. And so you may not have time to process everything. And so what we're seeing is a gap in our learning, especially with our youngsters, in that idea of comprehension. The statistics for comprehension are quite staggering. Only about 50% of our students that graduate from high school really have a high level of reading comprehension, what they term as literacy. And Trina's nodding her head. She knows that. And that's why we're locking arms and we're going to be better together to address this in our community. You'll see on here too, 1 in 5 of the world's immigrant population is here in the States. So English language is a huge issue that we would like to help with, and we are. And it's not just with our Latinx community, but there are other communities that we aren't serving. Our Vietnamese community, our Russian community, Ukrainian community, and so many more that are coming here and need the English language acquisition to succeed. And so I implore you, as you listen to this, who do you know that would like to help tutor? So we'll get to that in a little bit of the program. But I would like you to just think about literacy in the terms of that comprehension and some of the issues that we have today with polarization, right? If you don't understand one another, how are you going to communicate? And so it would break down some communication barriers that we have if we could help with the literacy skills. And so once again, what we do here in this small but mighty organization of Blue Ridge Literacy Council is we're breaking down barriers. We're breaking down ethnic barriers, right? Because we have tutors that are from different backgrounds. We're breaking down generational barriers because our tutors are retirees. They're the grandparents of our community, and they're maybe 1 or 2 generations below them tutoring with them. You're going to hear from Arthur, and if you were able to click on the video that came with your invitation, I'll be sending that out again as a thank you to you all. I want you to watch the video. Arthur and Eduardo, they did online tutoring this past year. I love watching it. I love the camaraderie. I love the respect. Eduardo is a young Mexican engineer trained who's coming here. I'm sure Arthur can share more about it, but what I'm saying is Eduardo is just a young man just ready to blossom here in America. And Arthur is taking his experience and his knowledge, and he's gently, teaching Eduardo not just words, not just English, but just assimilating into what our community here is like. What is it to be an American? Because he is looking to get his citizenship eventually. We have a great citizenship program. Students that enter our citizenship program, 100% have become citizens. Yeah. I think that is an amazing feat because it's not easy, is it, to become a citizen here. I was just reading some stories about what it takes, and I know from my family how they went and became citizens, and it's a lot of work. And we were going to play a little game with you, but we didn't get time, and put some cards on the table to answer some of those citizenship questions. They're hard. I don't know if some of us could do that. Another area that we're also focusing on is our youth, our critical youth, our at-risk youth. We have a program with the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council where we help students with their academic progress. We were in the paper recently because of Raise the Age. Raise the Age, North Carolina was the last state in the union to do Raise the Age. Breaks my heart really to think about this, but Raise the Age means, listen, don't try our young people as adults because that's what they're being tried as adults, and entering into a life of crime. We're able to now, because their age is higher now for minors, we're able to bring students in under the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council and tutor them. And there's other programs that help with cooking skills, working skills, things of that nature to help keep these kids out of the jail system and try and help change their ways. And guess what? It's successful. We had a young man bring his grade up from a D to an A within 6 months and graduate. And now he's on a track where, guess what? He loves to read. He loves his comic books, but he never even opened anything to read before, and now he has a love of reading. So that's an awesome story, and that's just so many more of those types of stories. And so we're working diligently to provide that. We also have a program that we're very excited that we're going to be working with in Transylvania County as well as here in Henderson County, but it's forward-thinking journaling, helping our young people discover and articulate their feelings on paper, writing them out, right? Isn't that important, those of you that journal? Just to express yourself and just to try, because when you're young, it's so hard to understand what's going on, and so we have that program available as well. So another exciting part, we talked about family literacy. We're just now making partnerships in Transylvania County with El Centro. Sellers is here, and Transylvania County Public Schools. And so we're going to be bringing family literacy into there. And that is where we prepare those moms with their preschoolers, you know, and that's for the future of North Carolina. North Carolina says there's a labor gap, a very large labor gap that's going to happen in the next 30 years. So we need to train our young people, make sure that they stay here, make sure that they gain the skills and the necessary literacy skills that they need to succeed and continue to keep this community vibrant. So we also lastly have a program called Senior Health Literacy, which we're probably going to change more to health literacy. Did you know that tutoring is good for your health? It is. Studies show that our retired community, that when you're relevant, when you're connected, when you're part of the community, you are healthier. You are more hopeful. You have more energy. This is studies from the Times has done several studies of that. The University of Oregon did a whole study on that. So this is very good for your health when you tutor. And words of my friend Arthur, just do it, you'll enjoy it. It's my favorite saying this year. And so health literacy is not only about connecting you as tutors with our students, we had curriculum made right at February 2020, we're ready to launch. And we couldn't launch it, but it was our health curriculum to help people understand, get it? Medicaid and Medicare, yeah? That's a pretty difficult thing to understand, and we had someone develop curriculum around it. Carol, I think, is here, who was part of that. And so we are bringing that back. We're bringing that to our retirement communities. We're going to work with the Council of Aging and really help people try and understand how to make sense of Medicaid and Medicare, because I think it's really important that we understand our health. Another side of that is digital health literacy. How do you use the portal? What's a portal? Well, guess what? You can go online and look at all your health records, and you can even make your appointments, and you can get your test results. And a lot of people still don't understand how to do that. They're also very nervous about doing that. Is that safe? And it is. And so we have also a digital literacy curriculum that was put in place to help people learn how to navigate the healthcare system, because guess what, folks? It's continuing to grow more and more digital. You're going to be using your phones to talk to your doctor, you know. And in some ways that could be a good thing and to catch things rather quickly instead of trying, you know, I made an appointment at the doctor's office. Oh yeah, 6 months, we'll see you. Well, what if I needed him today, right? So I think these are all so important in what we do here at Blue Ridge Literacy Council. And it's all because of you and the tutors that have come before you and that will come after you as to why our work gets done. We are a small staff. We work diligently to provide oversight for the programming and try and help facilitate matches with tutors and their students. And so this is a great time. If you haven't jumped in yet, on the back of your pledge card that's on your table is, I want to be a tutor. Or maybe you want to volunteer in the office. I'll accept that also. Speaking of help in the office, I also wanted to introduce Aya Phillips over here. Aya is a UNC student, and she was chosen to be our marketing intern this summer. And so we're so pleased to have Aya with us, the next generation. She is a literature major who'd like to get involved in some media, so she fits in our little community quite well.
And she developed our program, right?
She made the program, correct. She designed the program and the pledge card, so you can say thank you to her for that. So, if you'd like to help with youth, if you'd like to help with our health literacy, if you'd like to help with our citizenship program, English language acquisition, adult learners, or high school equivalency learners, this is a great way to let us know. Go ahead and fill out that card on that side, and we can then connect with you in the future. But really, just a great big thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. Really, financially has been huge. And what I'd like to now to introduce is Arthur Lebowitz. Arthur is our tutor that I spoke of, and I would just like Arthur to come up. He is a retired physician from New York that has moved down here and likes to spend his time generously giving it to the people in the community, helping out. So Arthur, a few words from you, my friend.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you very much, Katrina, for that introduction. Yes, it's true. I'm a Northerner. I'm a Yankee. But I did have a little experience here in North Carolina in 1965 to 67. And what you said about people with foreign accents, well, when you come from New York, it's kind of like a foreign accent down here. So I actually had a person who, only now today, listening to you, I can really think of him in a sense as a tutor. And I'll give you one little example. Now, as a physician, here I'm an intern in Chapel Hill. You get a new patient coming in, and you have to take a full history, past history, childhood, allergies, family history, and so on. And Chapel Hill, then and now, was the referral hospital for the entire state of North Carolina. And so there were a lot of people from deep in the mountains who I had trouble understanding, to put it mildly. So I'll just give you one example. I'm taking a history from this woman about her childhood history, and she tells me that she had a bad case of the smiling mighty Jesus. Now, they didn't teach me that at NYU Medical School. So I turned to my slow-speaking but very brilliant co-intern, George, who's from North Carolina. And I said, George, what is she saying? What is this smiling mighty Jesus? And he said, in his slow, laconic way, didn't they teach you anything up in that fancy school up in New York that you went to? Didn't you ever hear of spinal meningitis? So, in a sense, he was my tutor until I learned to understand Southern, or deep Southern. Anyway, so to fast forward, my whole career was in New York City. I was a professor of medicine and subspecialty of infectious diseases, which actually is coming kind of handy these days as I've been pressed into service doing some pro bono advising of various organizations. But that's beside the point. So my other tradition, you could probably tell from my last name, is I'm a Jewish person. And in our tradition, education has always been primary. It served very practical reasons in times in the past when one had to leave in a hurry. You can take your goods, but they can't take away your knowledge. So education and literacy has always been assumed to be and has been primary. But also in our tradition is to be of service. The Hebrew phrase called tikkun olam, literally translated means to repair the world. Now, it's not given to all of us to be able to influence millions and hundreds of thousands of people, but even on whatever basis one can do to be of service and to be of help of others, one is called on to do. That is really your highest calling, I believe. So anyway, having been involved in some other things, off of a board or two, a literacy council came to my attention, and I said, well, that seems certainly an important thing to do. I had only, once I had been here in North Carolina 57 years ago, really discovered people who literally were illiterate. It was, I mean, I knew of it intellectually, but I didn't really have not experienced it in New York. So anyway, I volunteered, and this was just at the very start, just when COVID, this was March of last year. And to make that part of the story short, eventually, after a brief training session, I was hooked up with a gentleman that Katrina mentioned. His name is Eduardo. He's a civil engineer from outside of Mexico City in a small town who got his first job in a company that deals in asphalt. And so we started on our journey together 13 months ago. You mentioned something about reading and comprehension. So in the beginning, when we were working on idioms and language, and also working on pronunciation, he would read what he had to read, and then when it came time to answer the questions based on the reading, he would have to go back and reread and look up the answers, because at that point he was so focused on being able to read the words, he wasn't thinking at all what the content was. Well, fast forward a year, that's all gone. Now he reads it, he understands what he's reading, he answers the questions, his speech is fluent, it's clear, he is now thinking in English, he is not having to stop and go translate from Spanish back to English. I also want to say that because of our age difference and our world life experience difference, our relationship has become much more of a mentor and mentee. And so, here's where the technology has actually been very helpful. I'm fairly computer literate. I have a couple of screens. And so, whatever we were reading, a topic would come up, let's say about geography, for example, an area that he knows very little about. I would be able to pull up a map on my other screen, share the screen with him on the Zoom meeting, and point out with a pointer what we were talking about. So anyway, so getting back to our experience with him, we have gotten to a point where there's not much more that I can really do for him. His speech is excellent, his comprehension is perfect now. And we are about to embark this coming week, starting on his citizenship progress. And so I will know that I have succeeded with him, not only when he gets sworn in as a citizen, but when the message that you must have a credit card and establish credit, you can't pay everything by debit, when his financial literacy has reached an acceptable level, then I will definitely have come full circle with him. And so I look forward to continuing this.
Thank you. We certainly appreciate you. I'd like to ask Zulema Suare to come up. Zulema comes from Mexico, and she came here, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her journey. The wonderful thing about Zulema is that she is now part of our board of directors. And so she's worked very hard to gain her skills, and now is going to be part of our organization and help guide us. So this is my boss, Zulema.
Hello, my name is Zulema Saure. I'm a member of the board of directors at Blue Ridge Literacy Council. I came to the United States of America when I was 12 years old. The move was a huge setback for me. I didn't speak or understand English. I was in a different country with different ways of doing things. Years went by and I learned a new language, but it wasn't until I started to take classes with a tutor through Blue Ridge Literacy Council that my English started to improve. At work, I'm now able to fully understand what my managers need from me. I can now communicate what my needs are to them more effectively, and my job performance has improved because of it. I also met new people from different backgrounds and have had different opportunities given to me, one of which is being here with all of you. My Blue Ridge journey didn't stop there. I was recommended the citizenship class that they offer. After taking the class, I was able to pass the citizenship test and successfully get my United States citizenship. I was then recommended to be part of the board of directors at Blue Ridge Literacy Council. There are enough words to begin to describe how grateful I am for this organization and the difference it has made in my day-to-day life and the difference they have made and continue to make in my community. Thank you.
Zulema, you are very brave, and thank you so much for doing that today. I just get goosebumps again when I hear about those success stories from our organization. And I mean, how can you not help but just love what we do, right? When you can hear that story, and there are so many like that. So with this said, I'm going to turn it over to tomorrow will be our board chair, Milton Butterworth. And thank you, Sharon, for everything you've done in a very interesting year to be a board chair. We had one board meeting where she could facilitate in person. Otherwise, it was all through Zoom this past year. So we had a successful board meeting this week. But before I have Milton come up, I'd like to at least get a couple more door prizes out so that we can have a little fun. Okay. So this is from Classic and Romantic. One may not get to France this year, but the Little Paris Bookshop will transport us there. Let's enjoy a light lunch and a pot of tea at the Book and Bee before going into the backyard with this love letter to books. The Book and the Bee, guys, we had a staff meeting there. Fabulous! Gotta go. Right, gals? That was marvelous. You gotta get the tea thing, though. Don't just get lunch. This goes to Daniel, and I think he left, so too bad, Daniel.
Must be present to win.
Yeah, gotta be present to win. Pete Landry. All right. I'm going to do a bottle of wine, and then we'll leave the last two for the very end. So you have to be present to win. Donna Ramsey, you get a bottle of wine. All right, Milton, it's all yours.
Well, I want to thank everybody for being here. There's so many familiar faces, and so excited to be able to do this and be together in person after such an unusual year and a half that we've all experienced. I also want to give a special thanks to our staff. Our staff has done some enormous things for as small as it is, and that is a direct result of how successful this organization has been at utilizing volunteers. And then so a huge shout out to the tutors as well. And then finally, board development is so important with any organization, and I'm just really pleased and honored to be a part of a board of the caliber that we have and that we are growing. Which reminds me, I want to introduce our newest board member, Mark Burdett, who is the reference librarian at the public library here in town. So thank you, Mark, and thanks again to the library for continuing to support our work. So I want to give you guys a little bit of perspective before we close out our time together. Just from what brings me to this podium. So throughout my career, volunteering in South America in the Peace Corps, supporting migrant farm workers and their families, increasing access to health care for vulnerable populations, and community health improvement, literacy, or as you've heard several of our speakers today characterize it more broadly, a person's ability to basically understand the society around them. The American dream is ultimately about fully realizing your part in that and how you authentically engage with this great country. So you've heard a lot of examples of that, and they range from the newcomer who comes from across the ocean or across the borders to realize this dream, but it also ranges to many of us who have been here generationally but struggle to understand what's going on around us. And so I think it's really important as our society evolves and as we move forward together, there's an enormous challenge in front of us to be sure that we're all moving forward together. Everything is harder to understand. Healthcare is a great example. But there are examples in every facet of our lives where each one of us has smiled and nodded that we understand when we don't fully understand. And so I invite you to tap that part of yourselves when you think about how important where we're headed today as a society and as a community, how important it is to focus on that understanding. It starts with the traditional idea of literacy, but it quickly becomes much more. So that's why I'm engaged with this organization, and that's why I hope that you do too. This luncheon is currently our biggest fundraising event, and our ability to host this special event in person was compromised by the pandemic last year, and still you, our community, stepped up and maintained that fundraising and financial impact last year. We're well on our way to accomplishing that again this year, thanks to those of you in this room and others who are not able to be here. This year, as we carefully resume the in-person aspect, we need you more than ever. Our role in recovery from prevention of this pandemic and the next crisis is obvious. I want to say that again. Our role in helping people to understand what is going on around them so that they can fully participate in our society is really paramount to where we're headed. So join Jeanette and I. Jeanette has always been my main partner and somebody that I value so much, and I'm excited that she's here with me today. So join Jeanette and I in supporting this important work. Share of your time and talent as you consider volunteering, and certainly consider sharing of your treasure. There are multiple different ways to do that. On the back of your program, you'll see information on how to volunteer and an email address, admin@litcouncil.org. That's also an appropriate place for you to send questions. Hopefully this has piqued your interest. It may have inspired you to connect someone else to us. And in that moment, shoot us a question if you need to, or ask us about how you can get involved. Also on your table, and I did bring these up here, so you have the program, and thanks again to our marketing intern. We were talking at our table about how we'd each like to have a marketing intern, if that's possible. So we'll need to familiarize ourselves with Aya and her program. But in any case, again, on your program, there's lots of valuable information about how to connect with us. And this is really, over the last few years, the way that we have best connected with new givers is through this luncheon, and this, some form of it was always available on the table in front of that person. Fill it out tonight, or pardon me, this afternoon if you like. Leave it with us, take it with you, but be sure to think about what we're all about and what your role in it might be. So thank you again for being here.
Thank you, Milton. You can also donate online at litcouncil.org. There's a donate button there, so if you feel more comfortable using the digital way of giving, which is always preferred for a lot of people. Again, thank you for being here this afternoon. Thank you for the board of directors for all your support. I also was remiss, we had some wonderful table sponsors. So Peg Price sponsored a table today. Sharon Terrell sponsored a table. Jeanette and Milton Butterworth sponsored a table. And Diane Skillman sponsored a table. So thank you for being our table sponsors as well and bringing your guests to the table. Some of my new friends, some of my parents and their friends that are my new friends, just want to really give you a shout out. So I look forward to meeting every one of you a little bit more carefully. But at this time, I'm going to give away The Secret Life of Bees book to Lee Luby.
Lee.
And piece de la resistance, right? Let's see. Isn't this gorgeous? I want it. Okay. Contemporary and informational. Enjoy The Secret Life. Oh, this goes with the book, Diane? Oh, Lee, you get this too. Sorry, folks.
All right, Lee.
So that was from the Connell Farm. So sorry about that, Diane. I messed up. Well, come next time and we'll have some more. So again, our offices right now, where we're mostly located now, is at 59 East Claremont, right there in Patton Park. Stop by anytime. We'd love to have you. You have my email address there on the table, or admin. You can always call me. But anyway, thank you for being here this afternoon. Thank you again to Guidon and 3 Chopped. And you guys are marvelous. So have a super day.